What's a short, clean joke that gets a laugh every time? It's not the best ceiling I've ever seen, but it's up there. I used to paint ceilings, but people didn't like my rates because of how much I charged for overhead. I didn't do floors, though. Felt beneath me. A father was washing his car with his son, and the son asked, "Dad, can't you just use a sponge?" My grandpa always said, when one door closes, another one opens. Smart man, but a horrible cabinet maker. Of all the inventions of the last 100 years, the dry erase board is the most remarkable. Look, a herd of cows. Herd of cows. Yeah, there's a herd of them over there. People are usually shocked when they find out I'm not a very good electrician. There was a king once who was 12 inches tall. Terrible king, great ruler. Man goes to his doctor and says, "Doctor, I think I'm losing my hearing." The doctor says, "Can you describe the symptoms for me?" The man replies, "Sure. Homer is fat and bald. Marge has tall blue hair." I once got stuck in an elevator. Now I take steps to avoid them. This collection of short, clean jokes is definitely interesting and amusing. They are all clever and made me chuckle. I used to paint ceilings, but people didn't like my rates because of how much I charged for overhead. I didn't do floors, though. Felt beneath me. A father was washing his car with his son, and the son asked, "Dad, can't you just use a sponge?" These jokes are so witty and creative. The play on words and the unexpected punchlines really make them stand out. I especially love how they take common sayings and turn them into hilarious scenarios. It's just the right kind of humor that can brighten anyone's day. Have you ever heard a joke that's so simple yet so funny that it stuck with you for a long time? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's move right into our next Reddit post. What's something you did that you later found out was illegal? Almost every day in college, I'd stop at a gas station near my place to pick up a snack, drink, or whatever, and on my way out, I would grab a copy of the newspaper from the stand right next to the door, without paying for it, every time. Because my dumb self, for some reason, thought newspapers were free. I was oblivious until my college boyfriend finally saw me do it and pointed out I was stealing. Oops. This just brought back a memory from when I was like 7. Every Sunday, my dad would get donuts and buy the Sunday paper from the kids outside the grocery store. I remember this one time we went inside the store to buy something. I saw that he had like 50 cents in a cup holder, and I took it to buy one of those gold necklaces from the gumball machine. This was the early 90s, and all my favorite athletes, musicians, and the cool kids at school had chains, and my dumb 7-year-old self thought they got them from the gumball machines at the grocery store. I was never allowed to buy anything from them, so I figured while my dad was shopping, I would pretend to use the restroom and finally get one. After we checked out, he asked me for the 50 cents from his car so he could buy the paper. I told him I didn't have it, but he knew what I did. He asked to see what I bought, and I confessed I bought one of those gold chains and got one that said "State." I explained that it would make me look so cool because nobody else's chain I saw had writing on it. I seriously thought I was so lucky and was destined to be the coolest kid in my 2nd grade. I vividly remember my dad taking it out of the little plastic egg it came in, laughing and telling me it didn't say "State," but Elvis in cursive. I honestly was terrified he was going to keep it and sell it to teach me a lesson, but he gave it back to me. And you better believe I rocked that 50-cent Elvis fake gold chain at school for like 3 days until it broke at recess. I have never been as cool in my 39 years of existence as I was those 3 magical October days rocking my Elvis chain. I scanned a dollar bill and printed it out in computer class in 7th grade. The substitute teacher called the cops. An officer showed up, took me into a small room, threw the actual book at me, and made me read the entries on counterfeiting aloud. I was super scared, but girls liked me a lot more after I got pulled out of class by the police. Calling the cops was a weak move. Riding a bike drunk. Apparently that's a DUI. I was on private property, though. I took a fake knife to school for a magic show. I planned on stabbing myself, And ta-da, no blood. Unfortunately, I showed a friend early in the day, and he ran around recess pretending to stab about 10 kids. I ended up in the office with the police and my mother. I believe I was in 3rd grade. When I was in middle school, my dad would give me $20 a week to pay for lunch. I was rarely ever hungry at lunch, so I just ended up saving the money. One day, someone asked to borrow $1 to buy snacks, and they'd pay me back with $0.25 as interest the following week. I agreed, and it became a thing. Next thing I know, more people are quietly borrowing money from me and paying me back. And it kind of snowballs to the point where I even had teachers borrow money from me once in a while. During this period, I had lamented to my buddies that 1 or 2 folks who had borrowed from me often were avoiding me because they couldn't pay me back. Someone offered to collect the money for me if they could keep some of what they got. It sounded like a good deal, so I agreed. I eventually stopped doing it because I felt like people were only using me for my money. I tried to reinvent myself when I started high school. Years later, I realized that I had inadvertently been a loan shark. I helped myself to the candies that were in bins at grocery stores, the ones where you had to scoop into a bag. I was about 10 and thought those were candy samples. I bought a sandwich from outside the US and didn't eat it until I landed back home and didn't declare it. I went trout fishing and kept about 5 illegally sized trout. The river I was on has multiple different zones with all different legal sizes that people can keep. And some zones you can't keep trout of any size. And I thought I was in a certain zone. I never got caught, but if I did, it probably would have been a $300, $500 ticket, and I would have gotten the fish confiscated. This is quite an interesting and funny collection of stories. It's amusing to see how people, often unknowingly, commit minor illegal acts in their everyday lives. From stealing newspapers to counterfeiting money, each story is unique and offers a glimpse into the innocence, mischief, and pure ignorance of individuals. It's fascinating to realize that something as innocent as taking a newspaper from a stand or printing fake money can actually be illegal. It's also interesting to see the unintended consequences of some actions, like borrowing money and turning into a loan shark. One particularly amusing story is the one about the fake gold chain from a gumball machine that a 7-year-old thought would make them the coolest kid in school. It's hard not to chuckle at the innocence and naivety of the situation. Another is the story about bringing a fake knife to school for a magic show, only to have it cause a big problem. It's a reminder that sometimes the things we do with the best intentions can go awry. Have you ever done something that you later found out was illegal? If so, what was it? And how did you react when you found out it was against the law? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's move right into our next Reddit post. A nuclear bomb is set to drop at your area in the next 30 minutes. What's your plan? Do a crazy pose so my neutral shadow looks cool afterwards. Leave. The blast radius isn't as big as you think. Yeah, you can get far in 30 minutes. People here are giving up too easily. Delete my browser history and then have a cup of tea. Get in my car, start live streaming. Drive down the highway for 25 minutes, then turn around and head back. Presumably the highway going back will be empty. I queue up Freebird, so the solo starts right before the bomb hits. Floor it. I'll go down in history as the Freebird nuke man. I randomly live by a nuclear shelter, so I just head there. Eat all the cheese in the fridge. I ain't escaping that. Rub one out, and then listen to some good music for the next 29:30. This is definitely an interesting and wild scenario. I can't believe the variety of responses people have to the impending nuclear bomb drop. Some are so nonchalant about it, while others are planning rooftop poses or aiming for a legendary live streaming moment. It's incredible to see the range of reactions in such a high-stakes situation. I mean, there's even someone who plans to eat all the cheese in their fridge because they don't think they can escape. It's both fascinating and a bit chilling to see how differently people would handle such a terrifying event. How do you think you would react in a situation like this? What plans would you make in the face of impending disaster? Well, that's another episode of Ask Reddit in the books. I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.